Breaking news at the top of the hour here on MSNBC. Here in New York City at MSNBC World Headquarters, going to Central Texas for you. A police officer has been shot and killed in downtown San Antonio. Police saying the officer was sitting in his patrol car. He was outside police headquarters, and then someone walked up to the driver's side window and opened fire. Zach Hendrick of our San Antonio affiliate WOAI is live on the scene there. And Zach, what do we know?
Well, Richard, it's a tragic day for the San Antonio Police Department. Officers have released a description of the suspect. They are describing him as a black male, about 5'7", wearing baggy clothing and has a beard. He fled the scene in a black vehicle, and I'm going to step out of the way and take a look at the scene right now. This all happened a little before noon on Sunday. As you mentioned before, Richard, the officer was in the process of writing a ticket in his patrol car. That's when Chief William McManus says a black car drove up behind the officer's patrol car. The driver got out and walked around to the passenger side window. That suspect then reached in and fired, hitting the officer once in the head. He then reached inside the vehicle once more and fired the gun again. After that, police say the suspect then walked back to his car, got in, and drove off through the parking lot, which you can just see over to the left, which is on the south side of Public Safety Headquarters here downtown. Again, this is still a developing scene. Officers aren't quite sure on a motive just yet, but it's something that they're continuing to develop. Right now, a press conference is scheduled with Chief McManus right over here at Public Safety Headquarters at 3:30 local time here in San Antonio. Of course, we'll continue to follow this and bring you the very latest. For now, reporting live from downtown San Antonio, Zach Hedrick. Richard, we'll send it back to you.
Zach, what is the mood there? As we know, San Antonio is a very diverse city. Was there any lead up to this that would give us any sense of why this happened?
Not for sure, not clear why right now. I just speaking to people who have been walking by. We've had a couple people from Houston who were visiting who were just shocked when they went over to walk to the Alamo just from a hotel across the street. And also some folks from here in San Antonio just surprised and saddened at this news of the officer, a 20-year vet, passing away.
Yeah, no doubt. Tough for the community there, and I can't thank you enough there, Zach Hendrick in San Antonio, for stepping in front of the camera at WOAI with the very latest. Of course, keep on watching what's happening there and out of San Antonio. We'll get that to you right here on MSNBC. Also watching this at the moment, a news conference just about to begin, or just beginning, on the killing of an officer there. Let's listen in.
The suspect parked his vehicle behind Detective Marconi's patrol car and approached him while he was sitting behind the wheel of his patrol vehicle. When the suspect reached the driver's side door, he fired a gunshot toward Detective Marconi, striking him in the head. The suspect then reached in through the open window and fired a second shot, which also struck the detective in the head. After shooting Detective Marconi, the suspect walked back to his vehicle and drove into the south parking lot of headquarters, ultimately exiting on the west side of the building. Witnesses called police, and officers arrived shortly thereafter. Detective Marconi was transported by SAFD EMS to SAMC, where he was pronounced dead. So where does that leave us? The pictures you all have are what we believe to be the suspect vehicle. There's a black sedan with chrome rims and dark-colored windows. Witness reports indicate the suspect to be a dark-complected male, slim-build in his 20s or 30s. He was wearing gray pants and a gray shirt at the time. We've had descriptions with and without facial hair. We are actively pursuing all leads and looking into all motives. All of SAPD resources, including from our federal enforcement partners, our federal law enforcement partners, and state, local government, are all being utilized. We consider this suspect to be extremely dangerous and a clear threat to law enforcement officers and the public. Anyone with information is urged to call 911 or Crime Stoppers at 224-STOP. We will continue to update you with any new information as it develops. Our hearts go out to Detective Marconi's family and to all of our SAPD brothers and sisters for whom this has hit home hard. Most families will be celebrating the holidays. SAPD will be burying one of its own because of an ultimate act of cowardice by a suspect who will be caught and brought to justice. We need our partners now. As we have always said, the community is our partner. We need our partners now to assist us with any information you may have, no matter how insignificant you think it may be. And with that, I'll invite the mayor up to say a few words.
Thank you, Chief. Good afternoon.
For that reason.
Let me get your take quickly on his views on Russia, the Kremlin, Vladimir Putin, because let's
Our city. When I left church this morning, I checked my phone and saw that there was an urgent message from the chief, and I certainly was floored by what he told me. On behalf of our city council, several of whom are here today, and all the citizens of our great city, I'd like to extend my condolences to the family of Detective Benjamin Marconi and also to his brother and sister officers in our San Antonio Police Department. This type of senseless violence is unacceptable. I know that, as the chief mentioned, SAPD and our other law enforcement agencies are working to quickly apprehend the perpetrator who is a danger to our community. I ask for all San Antonians to be calm and prayerful, and of course, as the chief mentioned, to provide any information that may assist us in swiftly finding the shooter. The message that I heard at church today was about thankfulness, and as shocking and sobering as these tragic events are, I will say that I am thankful for the life and 20 years of service of Detective Marconi and for the thousands of SAPD officers who work each and every day to keep us safe. Thank you.
We'll take a couple of questions now. Jeff?
Chief, what reassurances are you giving to officers who are on patrol right now? We're hearing that they're being advised to not do traffic stops alone.
That's correct. Officers have been advised, communications has been advised that when an officer makes a traffic stop, that he or she is to have cover.
The original person that was pulled over, what were they stopped for, and is it believed that they're related at all to the shooter?
I don't know what they were stopped for, and I don't believe they were related to the shooter.
Does this have any connection with the officer involved shooting that was earlier in the day? And is there any update on that?
Say that again?
The officer involved shooting that was earlier in the day, is there any connection with it? And is there any update to that?
We're looking at all possible motives, including that one.
How old was Detective Marconi?
Pardon?
How old was Detective Marconi?
50 years old.
And then he'd been in the force for 25 years, is that correct?
20 years.
20 years.
The front of the building had crime scene markers, as if the front of this building had something to do with it. Can you tell us anything about those markers on the front of the building?
I don't know anything about that.
Is protocol at SAPD headquarters going to be any different for citizens who want to come in and conduct the business that they would have on any other day?
No.
So do you know when things will return to normal here?
You mean as far as the front goes being blocked off? As soon as they're finished processing the scene, they'll clear.
Anybody have anything else? We'll keep you posted with updates. Thank you.
Getting the very latest there out of San Antonio, Texas. A police officer shot today. The information we're just getting out of this news briefing. Detective Benjamin Marconi, 50 years old, a 20-year veteran of the San Antonio Police, the police chief, and as you could tell by the mood there, as well as from the Mayor Ivy Taylor, very somber. It's a Sunday. It is a Sunday before a major holiday. And even the questioning, normally this would go on for not 4 or 5 minutes. It could go on for 30 or 40 minutes. But it was very clear at this moment they want to find out who this suspect is. The suspect is at large, and they described that suspect. And I'll give you some of the details in case you may have information wherever you are at. Dark complected, 20s or 30s. with or without facial hair. There's also a picture of the car they believe the suspect had used. This is it right here, a black car that they have a picture of, this out of San Antonio, Texas, and this incident happening earlier today. And the lead up to that, as Detective Marconi was writing out a traffic ticket to a motorist, was shot to death. We understand 2 shots to the head at his squad car. Was outside of police headquarters. And then another driver pulled up from behind that individual, the suspect getting out, and then shooting Detective Marconi twice in the head. And the 50-year-old detective declared dead at the hospital close by right after being taken there. So still with us, Michael Balboni, former New York State Homeland Security Advisor. You've worked with state police before. This is not only tragic, but so many questions. The suspect is currently at large. They're trying to get more information. They've asked for it. They're working with federal, state, and local. Tell us about that coordination and what is going to be essential now, just hours after this incident.
Well, a couple of things that have come out of the description of the event. First of all, this is incredibly chilling. You know, to walk up calmly and to fire 2 shots at a police officer sitting in a car and then walk back to the car in front of police headquarters, that evidences at least some type of military training, certainly incredibly calm and premeditated motives here. And of course, I'd love to know what the gun is. And I'd love to know where the person came from ahead of time. Were there any other eyewitnesses? What are the traffic cameras in the area going to show? Was anybody in and around headquarters that could see this happen?
And we're looking at the pictures right here. Again, police headquarters, that's the mapping of it. And then we have the live picture that we were showing a second ago of what is happening right now, that area that's cordoned off. There is that live picture from just moments ago. It's taped now. Michael, when you see that scene, what are you seeing?
I'm seeing someone who is incredibly brazen, someone who decided that they were going to get away with this, that they walked up, or they were ready to die for it. But the fact that he took off so fast and is still eluding people currently, this happened several hours ago, that says to me that this may have been planned. That it certainly was premeditated. I want to know if the guy has any support.
It is bold, as you're saying here, because this is police headquarters. Obviously, and we'll just state the obvious, a lot of security, many police officers there. Potentially, if there's ever to be a place in any city where there might be cameras, it would be at the police headquarters.
If you take a look at the firearms training that law enforcement officers go through, if you talk to the FBI, they'll tell you that the act of shooting someone is an emotional act, except for the most professional, or people who've had a lot of training. So to just walk up to a squad car and shoot the person through the window and then reach in and then shoot the officer again says that this individual had something else going on. They were not the typical emotional pull the gun out and shoot. And just as easy as you think it is to hit someone, hit a target that close, people miss all the time on that, even trained officers. So that gives me a little bit of a profile about who this guy, at least some of his background might be.
Yeah, we're just hours in here, Michael, and you heard the police chief say they are going to find this suspect. But as each hour moves on, and it appears the suspect has moved away from the car, because we have a picture of the car left behind, how crucial are the next 30, 40 minutes, if not 3 or 4 hours?
So if he's on his own, and he's just done this without any support whatsoever, he's going to obviously go to ground, as we saw in the Chelsea bombing. This is a guy who now doesn't have any place to go, was found in a doorway. You could see something like that. However, if this was a planned attack and he had support, and that support's able to take him and get him out of this area, then your guess is as good as mine in terms of the time for apprehension.
Quickly on the security measures, the cordon, if you are around police headquarters, typically, what are they?
Well, first of all, you have a lot of officers usually going in and around.
Right.
And you have a lot of eyewitnesses. You have armed personnel in the area. If you talk about a deterrent, there's a lot of deterrent. Yes, there are generally cameras outside of police headquarters to try to see what kind of threats there are, but it depends upon what the headquarters look like.
Lucky to have you here, Michael Balboni, former New York State Homeland Security Advisor. Thank you so much for being here to give us your reflections on what has happened there. Again, what we are just learning from a press briefing, a press conference just within the last 15 minutes. Again, Detective Benjamin Marconi shot in front of police headquarters there in San Antonio. Suspect at large, Detective Marconi, 50 years old, a 20-year vet. Very tough for this community as we begin our holiday week ahead of us. So, of course, here on MSNBC, continue to follow this story and much more. Stay with us. For now, we'll go to a short break, and after this, we return to normal programming.